Debating or making your case persuasively is a life skill that can benefit you personally and professionally. It is both an art and a science. I believe in persuading others without resorting to quarreling, squabbling, or bickering. This is the fourth video in this series aimed at helping you become more persuasive without bulldozing or browbeating others. In this tutorial, you will learn how stories can give you the power and leverage to make your points effectively. I will share a personal experience of how I argued with my friend without losing my cool. Finally, I will leave you with a magical and mysterious story with an inherent fault. This classic story still rings true but has a faulty logic. It is easier to take a stand than to understand. I love that line. It is easier to take a stand than to understand. And it is easier to decide against something than to decide for it. Remember, people aren't influenced by what you tell them, but by what they hear. Mastering this technique can win arguments with confidence, grace, and ease. How do you convince someone to see from your perspective without getting into a heated argument? How do you create warmth and empathy in others? How do you clarify obscure ideas and simplify complex concepts while arguing? How do you memorably communicate with your audience? How do you allow people to visualize and emotionally connect with your message? So many questions, but one simple answer. The answer is simple. Tell a story. The key is to keep your message simple, relevant, and enjoyable by showing the other person what is in it for them. The best way to persuade is to lead with stories. Stories are a potent tool for persuasion. When you share a story, the listener has nothing to defend against and is more likely to feel the emotions you are trying to convey. The most compelling stories come from personal experiences, something you saw, you heard firsthand. The most convincing stories are told in plain, straightforward language and can change the listener's feelings. Plato, who was Aristotle's teacher, once said that those who tell stories hold power in the society. 65% of our daily conversations are centered around sharing stories. Just think about it. Our brains are naturally wired to respond to stories rather than cold, hard facts. Therefore, storytelling can be a powerful method of persuasion. Sharing a story about a single child in need with a name and a face has a more significant impact on our empathy than presenting facts and statistics about millions of nameless and faceless victims. By telling inspirational stories about specific individuals, we can persuade our audience and help them understand why they should care. Personal and concrete stories evoke more emotion, activating the brain's emotional regions and creating a connection between the speaker and the listener, also known as brain-to-brain coupling. Human beings have a strong affinity towards stories. According to research, stories are 22 times more memorable than plain facts. If you're having difficulty coming up with a story, imagine how your topics affect real people's lives, their dreams, their hopes, their struggles, and their aspirations. This may give you some ideas. Additionally, consider sharing a personal event or experience. Let me share a unique experience to illustrate the point when I argued with my friend who made fun of my spiritual habit. Can you believe it? I once tried to persuade a friend of mine about the advantages of meditation, but he was resistant and mocked me. He argued that meditation was for idle individuals who prefer to waste their time on spirituality. It is a disguise for being lazy. It is an excuse to take a nap. No doubt, his comments wound me up. I was losing my cool, was feeling wrangled, and tempted to raise my voice. Since I struggled to convince him of the benefits of meditation, I chose to persuade him with an analogy. I told him about watching an old Olympics clip of pole vaulting on the sports channel. I was amazed to see how far back some athletes would go to get a running start. One athlete walked up to the bar, turned around, and strode so far back that I thought he might leave the field altogether. I told my friend, if you didn't know about pole vault, you might think, what's the matter with this fellow? Instead of competing, he's running away. He is not running away. He is returning to get the momentum he needs for a big jump. That's the purpose of meditation too. Instead of getting out of bed and plunging directly into life's maelstrom, unprepared, you meditate for half an hour to get a good start. As I said earlier, people aren't influenced by what you tell them, but what they hear. By sharing an analogy with my friend, he could hear my side of the story and became open to considering my point of view. I have just narrated a personal experience in the form of a story. Another story comes to my mind which is worth recounting. This story has magic and mystery, but you must help me with the outcome. Can you find the fault in this classic story that has often baffled me? One stormy night, three friends were stuck in a blizzard and sought refuge in a nearby motel. Luckily, there was one room left for $30 per night. The friends agreed to split the cost, each giving the receptionist $10. They were relieved to find a warm place to sleep. Later that night, the bellboy knocked on the door and said the room was actually $25. The receptionist made a mistake. He left 5 $1 bills on the table and each friend took one. They gave the remaining $2 as a tip to the bellboy. The next day, one of the boys told his father the story and said he paid $9 instead of $10 and contributed 1/3 of $2 as the tip. His father noticed that $9 times 3 equals to $27 and the $2 tip made it a total of $29. He wondered what happened to the other $1. Let me know what happened to the missing dollar in the comments. When people tell you stories in an argument, pay attention to the fallacies. This story illustrates the importance of paying attention to logical fallacies in stories. What seems logical initially may seem illogical when you have the aha moment. In this case, the logic is truth and fiction. Do let me know what happened to the missing dollar. I'm sure I've convinced you of the power of stories to engage your audience. In conclusion, our brains are wired to respond to stories and they significantly impact our emotions more than facts and statistics. In this video, you learned about a technique that can help you win arguments with confidence, grace, and ease. It is by baking stories into your arguments. But what makes a good story? The best stories are concrete, personal, and evoke emotions. Drawing from your personal experience can be an excellent way to create a powerful story that your audience can relate to. So the next time you want to persuade someone, try sharing a personal story that highlights the impact of your arguments on real people's life. If you find yourself in a situation where you need to convince someone, remember to keep it simple, relevant, and engaging by telling a story. Happy storytelling! I hope this video has been of service to you. Subscribe before you shift your attention to something else and miss future episodes to upgrade your personal life. Kind wishes, stay strong. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.